Good afternoon and welcome to IPDay's Webinar Wednesday. Today, we're going to be talking about moving IET awareness for beginners to contextualized application in any program. I am Nicole Howard-Rice. Welcome. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping rules. If you have a question, please type it into the Q&A option. Attendees, microphones are muted. You will be in listen mode only. And today's presentation will be recorded and it will be archived and available on IPDay's website within 48 hours. Let's get started. Before we delve into the meat and potatoes of what we're doing today, there are a few preliminary survey questions I'd like to ask. Give you points to ponder. What does contextualization currently look like in your classrooms? What activities do adult learners enjoy the most at in your particular programs or sites? What would you like most to take away from this webinar? And how many attendees are part of some form of IET model in your county? If you'd like to answer some of those questions, you can place them in the Q&A and I'll meet you there. I'll wait 5 more seconds and then we'll move on. I'll give you time to think about them. Okay. In today's session, we will explore effective strategies that support integrated education training awareness through a contextualized approach in any program. We will identify workforce training skills and academic competencies necessary for success. We will contextualize practical application and connections of skill-based lessons to adult learners with activating their prior knowledge and occupational goals. And then we'll concurrently speak to integrating activity-based learning through workforce prep and workforce training. All the resources that we will see today and that were used to develop this presentation are resources that are aligned to both IET and Florida curriculum frameworks. Is there a question? I'll revisit your question in just one moment. I want to talk about what the audience that we serve. People rarely succeed unless they have fun in what they are doing. The adult learners that we have that come into our programs, they come with a specific goal in mind. And they may not have all of the tools to connect them to those places, and that's why they seek us out. But if they are enjoying the process and the journey of completion in any facet in which they come to us, whether that be through needing a high school diploma, learning English, or improving their English skills, or setting themselves up for a career pathway, they need to enjoy themselves while they're doing it. That is correct. Most students do enjoy technology, business, and entrepreneurial ventures. Thank you so much. Key terms that we're going to discuss today are going to be determination, integration, transition, activation, application, and problem solving. Not always in that order, but definitely those terms as drivers. The things that stimulate an environment most are adaptability, communication, critical thinking, problem solving, self-awareness, process and analyzing information. Who agrees with this? Do you have anything that you can add before we even move on? We went over the key terms, and then we went over terms that stimulate the environment. This session is an interactive session in the Q&A. So I will often stop to ask you for feedback. This won't be a sit and deliver presentation. So who within our presentation has anything they'd like to add to this at this point, or would you keep listening? Let me see, I see something else in the chat. When we talk about IET, now that we've gone over the key terms, and now that we've also touched on what is required to stimulate an environment, now we just need to get into the nuts and bolts. No matter where you are in your process right now with IET programming, if you're a beginner and your county has not even started IET, this session is specifically for you. If you're in a county that has a partial implementation of an IET program, this session is for you. If you're in a county where you all are fully executing different models of the IET program, then this session is for you. And it all is going to begin with the FDOE's Florida Integrated Education and Training IET Guide for 2021. You get your nuts and your bolts from this place. When you refer back to this presentation, you will find that this page is live. So you can access the guide from this PowerPoint if you'd like. So why IET now? The Florida Department of Education's vision and strategic direction for the adult education system will lead to, and I bolded these pieces because I want to begin to continue, or not even begin, just continue to make the connections with where we're going as a state, will lead to increased numbers. We've all found that there have been declines in our enrollments of adults with higher levels of literacy, which has been a major driver, numeracy, digital literacy skills and acquisition, all of industry recognized credentials, post-secondary certifications, and degrees in the state's high growth priority sectors. All key information. FDOE understands that a new vision and strategic direction is needed to realize adult education's role, to expand workforce development and transition to the post-secondary mission, which will ultimately be strengthening adult education's role in an integral part of the state's education system, and the importance of preparing all students to be globally competitive for college and career, as it is imperative. This, I must say before we move on, why now? Why now? Because we're the parents of the students that are in our K-12 system are the parents that we serve or that we will serve. So we must consider those things as we are building. And the only way we can do that is through providing them with avenues and career pathways so that they are readily prepared and able and capable to not only influence and positively impact themselves, but the generations that are coming after them, i.e. the children that are being serviced in our K-12 system. That's why now. Here's another portion to the guide for further review. As we get into the nuts and bolts of teaching and learning, contextualized teaching and learning, also known as CTL, also known as contextualized instruction, is defined as a diverse family of instructional strategies designed to more seamlessly link the learning of foundational skills and academic or occupational content. So we can no longer consider them in isolation, With a more traditional form of instruction, some instructors or some counties have considered just the basics, just taking the skills and teaching the foundational skills, or what some would call basic skills. I like the word foundational skills better. Foundational skills, and teach them in isolation. When in reality, they are a family of instructional strategies designed to be together. You cannot teach them in isolation effectively, especially when dealing with the adult learner. So CTL is very important in all facets of our instruction. And so if there's anyone who will need a little more support in what contextualization means, it means giving an important perspective by citing similar examples to relevant background in layman's terms. Taking the knowledge that they bring to the classroom, no matter where they are, and connecting that to a skill that you know they need to either remediate and or learn, where they can understand it. Something that they can take home that night and apply. Or as soon as they leave you and get in their car, they can begin to apply it in their processing. So that's something that we want to make sure that we're doing on a daily basis with our adult learners. And if we're doing that, then fantastic. Let's just keep doing that and keep building. That's going to be necessary for everything that's going to fall under the IET model and beyond. Another big piece, and I can't stress this piece enough, in order for us to, as IET beginners, in order for us to take that piece that's necessary to connect to any effective, positively impactful IET program, we must understand where the learners are, how they are processing the information that is shared with them, and how we can make the connection with that learner to get them to where they have communicated to us they want to be. Bloom's taxonomy is going to really assist and support in that manner. In the way we teach, the way we expose a learner to new information, and the way we remediate information that could have been exposed or shared earlier in life but needs to be refreshed. This is our opportunity to redo, modify, support, and bring to fruition to a higher level of understanding. Taking them from knowledge to comprehension, to application, because application is when we make the connection, but now after we've made the connection, we support the learner in analyzing the information. And then once they've been able to conduct the analysis, they can apply and now go back and delve deeper in the application. Now they're able to synthesize the information, take an old concept and then bring on a new idea. So now they've expanded the ideas that they brought to the classroom initially, the prior knowledge that you didn't dismiss, but in fact invited. So now they're open to that the program that you've exposed them to that's going to help them career-wise. Not only are they excited about it, but they are telling their family, they're telling their friends, because now it's become real because they can synthesize. And then after they're in the program for a little while and they're working their IET program, and if they're in a class where there's a full model where they're learning the academic piece, and then the second part of the day they're going into their full career vocational concepts. Now they're able to sit back and evaluate and have some kind of comparison of the ideas, judging the material, being able to just make recommendations to their friends about how effective this experience has been. And this is going to help us as an adult learning community, as practitioners, as leaders. This model is helping us in more than 5 ways as it relates to where we're going as a state to support the chancellor's model and idea and vision for where we ought to be in adult education. With all of those pieces addressed, now that we're in the classroom with the learner, we have to make sure that we're doing our due diligence in ensuring that the foundational pieces are there as it relates to, are the goals clear in the classroom? The goals that the student shared with you at the beginning of school, the first day of class or the first week of class, when you conducted all of your goal setting exercises, the getting to know you exercises. After using all of those pieces to develop lessons and strategies and activities to support this learner in their success, ensure that daily you are keeping those at the forefront, and that the goals and the objectives for accomplishing those goals are clear. That all of the activities that are executed for that learner as an individual are project-based, something that they can use in application, Bloom's taxonomy again. And then problem-based learning, something that gets their mind going. That's going to really deal with that. That's going to require them to use all levels of Bloom's taxonomy. And then, as we spoke to earlier, that prior knowledge activation. Adults have a plethora of knowledge, whether it be formal or informal. They bring so many things to the table that sometimes go unnoted in some adult education classes. And field trips. Adults love and thrive on field trips, and you can definitely connect those to IET programs, no matter what stage you're in. If there's you may be able to do a tour at a hospital, not now amid COVID, but in a different time, a hospital. You may be able to tour a culinary facility. You may be able to tour if you have some kind of CDL or home health aid. There are different agencies that you could visit that will allow you an opportunity to maybe do a tour, have a Q&A. There's so many things that can appeal to, or that would support the adult learner in really embracing the programs that you all have to offer. Then that virtual learning piece, that's going to be key in our current climate, because with the schedules that some of our adult learners are having to work around or work within, they need to have a hybrid option where they can come in sometimes and maybe work online, just to make sure that we are meeting them where they are. One, to promote our academic side of the house, and two, to promote that vocational piece. Because as we've discussed, they are a family. Games and manipulatives always work well. Learners love Kahoot. They love quizzes, just to name a couple. There are so many games that you can use to infuse within your day-to-day instruction that may serve as a bridge to make the IET connections. Although there are some parameters that can't be unworked, these are places where you can bring out great infusions to get those learners over any hump that they may have to embrace. Here we have cultivating relationships. This is key. Teaching language across subjects. When you're dealing with that ELL learner, they love cultivating relationships. Relationships are so important to them. Emphasize productive language. That's very important. It's essential. Ensure that you are understood by the learner. So if you have to speak slowly in this classroom, because sometimes I want to pause here. What we know to be true, that we, I think, are easing into, is some of our ESOL learners, when they get to level 7 CCR, they're easing into an ABE classroom, and they're gaining more of their skill sets in that academic realm. And some of them bring certain things to the table academically, and they have degrees, and all the difficulty was the language barrier. But they're in the ABE classroom, and they're also a part of a bridge program, or they're just in an ESOL program, a part of an IET model. It's imperative for the practitioner to slow down and ensure that they are understood. Incorporate different modalities. That's also essential. And sometimes you have to be open to allowing that native language infusion. If it's going to make the connection, be open to that. Here, andragogy is very important because that's who we're serving. And I think a lot of the times that sometimes gets lost in the sauce. And sometimes we speak from a pedagogical perspective, when in reality, because we're dealing with the adult learner, it's imperative that we consider who they are and what they need. Because we've discussed, and it's almost redundant, but it's important, that prior knowledge and experience. Because they enjoy solving problems, problem-based learning is going to work, it's going to be highly effective in your classroom. Because they enjoy projects, they want to get up, they want to move, they've worked all day. That's going to also help. Those goals and that reoccurring, you're doing a great job, it's looking good. That motivational piece must be present throughout the entire stint of their stay with you in whatever county you're in. So we're in the academic, in the morning or at night, however you have your model. If you have a 1-teacher model, 2-teacher model, or a split model, whatever you have, that motivational piece on the academic side of the house must be reflected in the vocational side as well. That prior knowledge piece must be included on both sides of the house. That activity-based learning must be included on both sides of the house. Soft skill remediation for work must be a part of the conversation. The occupational learning exposure is essential, because if I can see it, then I can be it. If you show it to me in action, if I'm seeing it in the morning, so even the academic skills that I learn and the items that are contextualized, they are connected directly or implicitly to what I'm doing in the afternoon under my vocation, I am really making gains as a learner. And I'm excited to be here because you are helping me get to where I know I deserve to be and just didn't know how to get there. When learners take what is taught and are able to understand, reconstruct, and demonstrate the skill or problem set before them to exhibit mastery level knowledge through real world application, then as adult learner practitioners, we are moving in the right direction. We are really making gains and pushing impact that's going to move our needle. Again, and this is continued, and you'll hear this throughout. This is the theme of this presentation, because the meat is we have to teach, we have to get them ready for post-secondary and vocational learning. We can no longer take what used to be our ceiling, which was the high school credential or learning, having a sound understanding of the English language. Now that is a part of our foundation to get them ready for something much greater. through real world application, that personal goal setting, I cannot stress that enough, because that is where you get to know your learner. You can't teach who you do not know. And then develop career and home activities, activities that you expose them to in the classroom, that they can take home and exercise with their children, grandchildren, or family members, because now real learning is taking place. Cooperative learning groups. Adult learners typically enjoy working in small group settings where everyone has to participate. Collaborative learning is also essential for an IET classroom, as well as the traditional academic classroom. And you need to be constantly forming those bridges. So the IET, the vocational teacher needs to be in constant contact, if it's not the same teacher, with the academic teacher. They need to be in conversation. They need to talk about what needs to be addressed. What skills does this learner need to be successful in this vocational program? No longer are we working in isolation. Gone are those days. Something else that's very key. Let's talk about what should be present in the classroom, no matter the program. Digital literacy. We can no longer do packets. That part it's gone. There needs to be some form of digital literacy present. A primary learning management system needs to be present within every single program. Civics is another key factor. It needs to be present in every single classroom, no matter the program. Project-based learning, problem-based learning, and as we've discussed, occupational learning and training needs to be present in every classroom. Essential topics for all adult education classrooms, as we just discussed. And I want to talk about this. That civics education, digital literacy, financial literacy, health literacy, and the workforce preparation. So if we prepare them to be successful in their careers, but we haven't prepared them to understand bills as they come out that directly impact them and impact their communities. If we haven't prepared them to be successful in a digital world, the world in which they are going to live and work. If we haven't prepared them through financial literacy on how to make the career and the money that they make work for them and their families. Health literacy, if we don't expose them to the resources that are available to them to help them to support their families and to support themselves and beyond, then what have we really provided them? So again, the essential topics for every adult education classroom are going to be civics education, digital literacy, financial literacy, health literacy, and workforce preparation. So much so that according to Brookings EDU, in a 2020 article on why civics needs to be a part of every classroom, a Annenberg Public Policy Center's 2016 survey reveals that 1 of 4 persons completing the survey did not know the branches of government. The survey also revealed that there is a lack of confidence in leadership of which has suffered the decline for over the last decade. In addition, the Pew Research Center that monitors the public's trust in the government, the research shows that according to a poll conducted in March 2019, only 17% believed in the government leadership. Moreover, the lack of trust seems to be most prevalent among the young voter. That is saying something. Amid the pandemic, we have quite a few students that have found it difficult to navigate the digital platform. So that means, in high likelihood, we're going to find an influx of younger learners entering into our adult programs. If we have civics in place to further expose these learners to their societal norms, the information that directly impacts them most, then we're preparing them to be successful in their future. Civic engagement falls in 4 categories. So this is an opportunity just to take a few approaches: political knowledge, normative values, individualistic civic behavior, and communal civic behavior. Potential classroom activity ideas are listed on the far right. Classroom projects that teach the branches, productive debates. Adults love debates. Simulations and role play, that's always a great idea. Plays and just everybody just getting involved and becoming people or leaders in the community from the classroom perspective is always going to be a great activity. Daily current events, promoting and encouraging that they take the time to watch the news, local and or national news. Gameplay, movies. If you can take a field trip to the museum, that's also great. The digital literacy piece, according to Cornell University, digital literacy is the ability to find, evaluate, utilize, share, and create content using information technologies. Again, we're back to that Bloom's taxonomy as it relates to the way we instruct and impact learners on a day-to-day basis. I've provided activities listed on the right that will also assist and support you in the classroom, in any classroom, under a contextualized approach that can be transcended over into a vocational classroom as well. That financial literacy piece is going to be key, especially when you're dealing with an entrepreneurial approach or program. Budgeting, understanding interest rates, prioritizing saving, credit to debt ratios, credit to debt blockers. Any student will benefit from any of these. Identity theft safety, which is a big thing. Now, during my research, I found something key: gaming in the classroom. There's this game called Spent, and it goes over budgeting challenges. I don't know how many people have been exposed or using that game, but you need to incorporate it in your class, because you're going to be amazed. They have to work off a budget. They have to pay their bills, which they're doing every day, but then they get to make the direct connection with their own experiences and why it's so valuable for them to be in your classroom. At the end of this presentation, you will see within the citation the links for you to access these games. Shady Sam, Stacks, Money Magic, all are going to help with that financial literacy piece, in addition to whatever your primary learning management systems are. Health literacy. Health literacy is the degree to which individuals have the capacity to obtain, process, and understand basic health information needed to make appropriate health decisions. Low health literacy is more prevalent among older adults. In August of 2020, there was a release of Government's Health People's 2030 initiative. The modifications speak to the following 2 components: personal and organizational health, of which are defined as the following. Personal health is designed as the degree to which individuals have the ability to find, understand, and use information and services to inform health-related decisions and actions for themselves and others. Organizational health literacy is the degree to which organizations equitably enables individuals to find, understand, and use information and services to inform health-related decisions and actions for themselves and others. Why is this so important, Nicole? If in August of 2020, while we have been at home, if these definitions were changed, the way we do education, the way we do activity, the way we do anything as it relates to communicating with our learners, it's changing. The items and the information that I'm sharing with you today are just a few of those changes that we must pay attention to, because those are the very drivers that change the components of expectation as a state. That training and development, goal setting, the occupational workstations, where you have whomever is going to work in that field. And it'd be great to take an adult learner who's interested in HHA and have them develop their own workstation. Or an adult learner who's interested in being a chef and have them develop their own workstation. Have them create their own little worksheets, their own cue cards, their own questions. So as they're going from station to station, they begin to expose each other to different ideas, and it starts a dialogue among them, and it begins to build relationship between them. And it may even take a learner who didn't have much interest in a particular area, but now that the school offers this and you have a student who's excelling in this area, set up their own workstation, now that other student has become intrigued by this very vocation, whereas before they hadn't made the connection. Learning management systems that we spoke to before. Mock interviews are always great. Resume and cover letter activities. Job shadowing is key, especially when you're talking about contextualizing something that they were exposed to in theory. Social media networking platforms, that's going to always be great. And having them set up their own social media if they haven't already done so when they enter your classroom, letting that be a part of the onboarding. You can give ideas, make recommendations, but they select their own platform, but they must choose one or two. We're coming to the end, and there's been quite a few information shared with you. Quite a bit of information shared with you, rather. I have a question for you. After attending this webinar, what will you do differently in your classrooms? May I meet you in the Q&A? And number two, how can IPDA continue to support you in contextualizing your classroom for today, tomorrow, and beyond? Yes, you may get a copy of this presentation. I'm glad you're finding this presentation beneficial. Yes, the content must be relevant to the learner. I too hope it gets approved. No internet in most classrooms, but videos are an option. And in my class, I'm working on adding Lee's virtual reality experience. Oh, that's fantastic. We'll just have to get creative. Oh, I'm so glad that you all are excited. Oh, this is fantastic. Did you take virtual trips? Yes, you certainly may. Virtual career exploration. Oh, you're talking amongst it. Oh, this is exciting. Virtual career exploration. Not sure the parameters of internet in prisons. There are some restrictions, but you just check into it. Oh, I'm so excited. There may be some offline opportunities for corrections. I was thinking the same thing. I can certainly modify and go, yes. It just might not be an option, but there's definitely value. Yes, it is. Fantastic. I'm working my way back up. You all have, thank you so much for your participation and constant engagement throughout this presentation. Well, the program should be tiered from beginners to advanced. Basic English and career exploration. Enter in high advanced levels, more and more fully contextualized, greater degrees of career support. That is an excellent, excellent idea. What the program should be tiered from beginners to advanced, with the beginner, basic English and career exploration. Enter in high advanced levels, more and more fully contextualized with greater degrees of career support. Students enjoy anything that is engaging and relevant to their work and lives. Yes, they do. Excellent. I teach mentioning skills and adult. Oh, wonderful. So that's your idea. I work with the Department of Corrections, utilize IET in our academic and vocational programs. Yes, fantastic. Wonderful. We have 12 new messages. Let's scroll down. Is there any discussion or plans for making accommodations for modifications for learners with special needs, even though they are adults? That's a great question. And that's a question that I would take back to your district. And I would also stay on the lookout on the FDOE and IPDAY to see what we develop. That's an excellent question. Is there any discussion or plans for making accommodations or modifications for learners with special needs, even though they are adults, similar to an IEP? In some districts, there are 504 options, but that's going to be specific to your county. I would check there first. I hope that answers your question. What I mean by the productive language, the language that's driven on the content that's being shared. That's what I mean by that. So if they're in their native tongue, if they're using slang, and you're trying to teach a concept, just not telling them that what they're saying is wrong. Please no. Just transitioning some of the thought through an open-ended approach to something that's more geared to where you're trying to take the learner as it relates to the learning process. Here at Bay Corrections, they encourage us to reach our students in new events. Yes, fantastic. Because if you're not innovative and creative, you just lose connection with the adult learner. That's correct. Mock interviews are great. Oh, really? Especially in the prison setting, that's fantastic. It helps them prepare for when they leave. You've got it. You are nailing it. It says, I'd like to try and incorporate job shadowing in my EMT first responder class, as well as more interactive learning games. Oh, wonderful. That would be fantastic. Oh, that virtual play, the reality comes, try some of those games that I showed you on that financial literacy piece. I was intrigued and I couldn't let them go. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. The presentation is housed on IPDAY. There's also a workbook for this presentation. I didn't do just a handbook, but something that you could take back to your county. And as you are learning and as you all are exploring, just write it down, jot down your notes. There's a point to ponder list as well for you to check off items that benefit you. And if you had any further questions, that's what we're here to do. I see this huge issue because, first of all, due to HIPAA, they don't have to disclose that they don't. If they don't, but they present with cognitive learning problems, they struggle. Yes, you cannot ask. They must, you're correct. Let's be clear. They cannot ask. You cannot ask them anything. They must self-report. If they do not, you have to assume as such and leave it alone. That's correct. The workbook is also in the chat. It is very normal. Well, I want to tell you all, thank you so much for your participation. It looks like I have something else in the Q&A. You're correct. Many students would enjoy the games and collaborative activities. They love them. Do you have any advice on creating job shadowing opportunities for students? All depending on what's in your area. This is where partnership is going to be key. Whatever's in your local area, you may want to just call them and ask if there's an opportunity for partnership. That's going to be great. And then if it connects to what you all already have, this is why those IET partnerships are essential. If it connects to what you already have going on, they're more inclined to have your students come over and shadow. So it's a great opportunity. That was a great question. Community partnership is gonna be key. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. I'm so glad that you all found this presentation beneficial. And thank you for participating. Now, IPDA has a plethora of IET and contextualized resources at your fingertips. So please utilize them. We have the Quick Start Planning Guide for the pathway already uploaded. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and download that as well. This is a continued portion of that Quick Start Planning Guide. Also, we have modules with plans that are available with the objective. You already know there are wonderful lesson plan templates available. We have them specific to employment to support that contextualized environment and workforce ready prep. We also have the IPDA electronic matrix available that will support that academic foundational knowledge and remediation. And you will find a way how to access that through this particular presentation and others. You go ahead and you select your subject, select the domain, your NRS level, and then you download the activity or the information. Here's the works cited page for future reference. For anything that was discussed today, you can access the information here. Are there any additional questions? Okay. Before we end, your feedback matters. Please take just a moment to complete this survey. Thank you so much for attending today. Okay. Thank you all for coming. No, thank you. I'm glad that you, and we'll meet again. There'll be an IP Day webinar next Wednesday. So be on the lookout and get your registration in. Thank you, practitioners, for all that you do each and every day.